And we have a couple of really great questions happening in the chat box. So let's just take a look at these. So the first question we have is, what is the difference when you're on Teams versus teach and assign?
So that's a great question, and we're definitely going to answer that in a little bit, but I'll give you a brief synopsis right now. So teach is going to be our live option, and assign is going to be our self-paced independent option. So that's the quick answer for now, but we'll show you that teach option in a little bit.
Great. And another question we have here is, can you add your voice to read questions and answers to students for younger grades? Definitely something really interesting there. So any insight on that, Nikki?
As far as I know, you're not able to record your voice for questions within Kahoot. Perhaps that might be an advanced option within the Kahoot website, but as far as I know, it's not available right here within Teams. But there is an option for Microsoft Reader as well. So it might not necessarily work for Kahoot, but definitely worth a shot. Great questions. So here we are back in our posts. Again, the challenge is at the bottom there. And then I just like to highlight for you that that post does not appear under assignments. So if I click on assignments, in this account I don't have any posted yet, but just so you know that the challenge will not appear under assignments. So if your students have been trained to look to assignments for anything that they need to complete at home, you might want to add an assignment there for them, instructing them to go complete the challenge under posts. So that's just something to keep in mind there. All right. So now that we know how to add a Kahoot quiz in Teams via the assignment feature, let's talk about how to host a live Kahoot within Teams. So as I mentioned before, we're going to use that teach option. But the first thing that we want to do, this is really important. The steps are a little different because if we're doing a live video, the first thing we need to do is to start a live Teams meeting. Once we have started a live Teams meeting, then we need to share our screen. These must be done in this order. We can't pre-set up the Kahoot with the exact quiz and the exact settings that we want beforehand, because once we open that Kahoot window, you can't leave it to share your screen. So you must share your screen first, then open the Kahoot tab and select play from there. Once we selected play, as I mentioned before, we're going to choose the teach option and then adjust any game settings, select our playing mode if we want individual versus teams. And then, same as if you're using Kahoot in the classroom, students are going to join with a code on a separate device or a screen. Now, the separate device or screen is ideal because then students can still see on their main screen what you're presenting live to them. But it's definitely not necessary. Makes it much easier for the students and more interactive that way. Let's head over to the computer and we'll check that out. Okay, so now we're going to go back into our 5th grade Explorers team. We are here on the channel, the posts page. So to start our meeting, which is our first step, we're going to go at the bottom here to this camera icon. I'm going to click on that. When I click on that, I have the option to either meet now or schedule a meeting. If you want to do that, you can. I can even add a subject here. I'm going to click on meet now. So you'll see I'm up here on the screen as well. Now the next step that we'd like to do is we want to share our screen. So to do that, we're going to click this rectangular icon with the upward facing arrow. If I hover over that, it does say share. So that's where we want to be clicking. I'm going to click on share. Then I have to select which window I'd like to have open. I'm going to click my desktop window. I only have that open as well. From there, I still have to select yet again which part of my screen I want to share. Do I want to share the entire screen, just the window that I have open, or the Chrome tab specifically? So I'm just going to share my entire screen, but up to you. And then when I'm ready to go, click share. Okay, so you'll notice two things. One, when I started sharing, you don't see me anymore. We're seeing our other student, Kaylee, who's in the class. So if we head on over to her screen, you'll see that we don't see me anymore. She's going to see whatever I'm sharing, so she would actually see herself. And at the bottom here, we do have this notification that says Microsoft is sharing your screen. If you want to hide that, go ahead. And when you're ready to stop sharing, you just are going to click on that. Now, next thing we want to do is get back over to our Teams. To do that, we're going to click on this Teams icon on the left-hand side here. When I click on Teams, we're back into our channel here. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to click on our Kahoot tab. And we have all of our Kahoots that we want to play. When we're ready to select one, we're going to click on play. Now, because this is live, we want to choose the teach option. So I'm going to click on teach. Now, when we're in here, we have all of these different game options. Definitely want to familiarize yourself with the game options since we are doing this in front of students. It's always a great idea to make sure you know exactly which options that you'd like to have, so that way you're not wasting time with students being there and figuring that out live with them in a session. The last thing that we want to do, there's no save option. The last thing to do to play the game is classic or team mode. Now, if you're in remote learning, classic is going to be the option that you definitely choose. If you're in the classroom, or if your students are together in the classroom, maybe you're at home, you're going to select team mode, or you can select classic, up to you. But classic is what I would recommend for virtual learning options. So I'm going to go ahead and click on classic. So now the Kahoot game is getting ready to play. If we head over to Kaylee's computer, we'll see that she is seeing exactly what I'm seeing. She's even seeing the tabs at the top here. Everything that is on my screen is what she is seeing. So this is why I say it's important to figure all that stuff out beforehand so that students aren't seeing you familiarizing yourself with settings for the first time right in front of them. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and wait for her to join. It presents us with the game pin, same as if you were playing the game in the classroom. So you could have students, maybe if they are not able to join on Teams for whatever reason, you can share this game pin with them as well. So that's a great option as well. So Kaylee's going to go ahead and join. She's going to enter that game pin in there. Now, I do recommend that you have your students do this on a separate device. That way they can be focusing on what's happening within the live video. If that's not possible, of course, there are other options. Now she's joined us. We're ready to go here. And I'm going to click Start over here. When I click on Start, it's going to load up our game for us, and then we're going to get with our first question. Kaylee's going to have a few seconds to choose. Looks like she didn't quite make it in time, so we'll move on to another question. When I'm ready to move on, I click Next, same as if I was in the classroom. So now question 2. Great job. So it'll show us this immediate time feedback. We'll go ahead and do another one. Give her some more points here. All right, looks like she got this one correct too. Now, I'm going to go ahead and end the game right now. You can go through the whole game with your students as you would normally, but we're going to click End Game, which is the option right here. And so we do see our leaders, who was in first place, second place, third place. I'm going to click Next again. And so if I'd like to see any more detailed analysis other than what I was already seeing, you're going to want to go onto the Kahoot website to view those detailed reports. So if I do go on to the website, just a little side moment here, and I click on Reports, we'll see the report for the game I just finished, as well as any other reports that I have. Now you can go ahead, if this is the end of your lesson, you can stop sharing this with your students, and we're going to go ahead and end our call here. All right. So the last thing we're going to cover is just reviewing some important things that we want to remember and we want to keep in mind. So just to recap what we talked about, quizzes do need to be created at www.kahoot.com before you use them in Teams. So we definitely want to have that set up before we go to do this with our students, especially in that live feature. As we mentioned before, any assigned challenges will not show up under assignments. So that's very critical. If your students are in the habit of checking assignments for an action item, you're going to want to take that extra step to post an assignment for them. As a reminder, others will not see all of your content under the Group Kahoot tab. Something also important to note is that the challenges don't appear there as well. If students do log into their Kahoot account under their Kahoot tab, they will only see Kahoot quizzes that they have created. They won't see what the teacher has created, even though the teacher is logged in. They also won't see the live event posted there as well. And finally, it is preferred for students to play on a separate device during those live taught events, but you can have your students, if you want to teach them this procedure, or if they already know how to do it, to have two windows open side by side. That's one benefit where using the web-based application comes into play. You can have it open as one tab off to the side and then snap the Kahoot tab onto the other side, and that way they can play and they can also still see the screen of what the teacher is doing as well. So those are some really great options for using Kahoot. The last thing that I'm going to show for you is where to find the resources for this session. Okay, so if you are here watching with us now, you have your video in the middle. If you scroll down to Files and Links, so that's below your video here, you're going to see a section that says Resources, and then off to the side are all of the resources that we have linked. This will be for any video that you watch. Just wanted to highlight that for you. There's definitely some great help and support options there for you to explore as well. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you learned a little bit more about how to use Kahoot effectively within your Microsoft Teams. I'd love to thank Kaylee for moderating.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And Brian behind the camera. Remember, if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to hit that Ask OTIS button if you need support later on. If you'd like to receive course credit for completing today's quiz, don't forget to take the quiz and complete the survey below the course. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.